just to begin with this interview, Paul, again, it's a pleasure to meet you. We really appreciate your time for Dark Wet Scene. We just want to know, how have you been, by the way?
I've been pretty good. I have an online guitar school that has kept me busy through the quarantine. So even though I've been at home, I've been still teaching and connecting and communicating with all my guitar students, and I've still been able to have a very musical life this last year. And of course, I've made my new album, Werewolves of Portland. So I've been very busy doing musical things, and that's good.
All right. Well, that's good to hear, because, of course, the last year, especially for many musicians, it hasn't been exactly easy. So I'm glad to hear this. And yeah, as you mentioned, you are releasing your 16th studio album, actually. And well, after 16 studio albums, how do you feel about this new album, Werewolf of Portland?
Oh, well, it has some unique things. I played all the instruments. Of course, I always play guitar, but this time I'm playing the drums and the bass and the keyboards. And in a way, I'm singing because I wrote lyrics and I wrote melodies, but instead of singing with my voice, I'm singing with the guitar. So, for example, the first single, "Argument About Pie," I came up with a lyric and a melody. You can never get in an argument about pie. You can never get in an argument about pie. And then, instead of singing it, I play. On my guitar. So it's such a joy to be able to sing, because my guitar is a better singer than me.
Well, but from what I heard, actually, you sound really cool. Had you ever thought about maybe also doing like another version with your vocal melodies, maybe, or maybe to ask for another vocalist?
I thought about, like, actually, I did a record with Freddie Nelson before, and I think he would do a really good job. But the unique thing about this is, of course, I can play the melody like as a singer, and I
Mhm.
usually try to do that for the first verse. But then as the song goes on, I start becoming more of a guitar player. So it's I'll play the melody. And so I could do like more of a guitar solo as it goes, and so that a singer couldn't do. So it's nice to be able to do both those things and blend them together. So that to me is the unique part.
All right, that sounds really, really cool. And since when did you begin working like this? It's very interesting the way that you are working, because most people probably think that, or we imagine you just playing with a guitar and looking for melodies, but you begin with the lyrics and the voice melodies, right?
Well, it's for me it was really challenging because when you play a melody, with the style, like a rock or blues style, uh, it's very different than playing a scale. 'Cause, if you play, that's how if you take guitar lessons, everybody's all practice the scales. If you play a scale, you hit the note, and that's the note. But if you sing it, it's usually slid up. You you usually come up from underneath. So you don't go like on with a vocal, it'd be more like, and there's this little slide. So that's a whole different technique. You don't need a slide. You can do it with your fingers. And it's just a lot more vibrato and sliding around, and it's very horizontal. Where most guitars like this. If you want to sound like a singer, you tend to play more this way. which, that I'm hopefully I made that sound simple, but it's actually, you have to rethink the fretboard. It's some work.
Yeah, I can see that. And well, considering the way that you are working now, and of course, because of the pandemic, you were forced to place almost all the instruments from what I read. Do you consider yourself that this experience was very challenging in your career, of course?
Well, at first, I just didn't know what to do because I really love playing with other musicians, and I did my last album that way. It was live in the studio, and I really that was the vision I had. So I didn't want to give that up, and so I thought, well, maybe the pandemic will be over soon. So I was just kind of waiting. I thought like, oh, maybe 2 months. I can wait that long. But then like 6 months had gone by, and I thought, I don't know when this is going to get back to normal. So I thought I got to do something. I thought, okay, well, my original plan, I just have to give that up and think of something else. And fortunately, I've put a lot of like in my life. I've played the drums a lot, and I've played keyboards a lot, bass. So I can do it. And then my worry was like, oh, if it's going to be too slow. If I got to play the drums, then it's slower than playing live with a band. But I had an engineer to help me, and we went pretty quick. So I think the thing is that made it quick is I didn't really have to rehearse much because I know the song. I
Mhm.
don't have to teach the song to anybody because it's all in my head. So if I know it, if I just have the song in my head, I kind of already know the drum part. I kind of know what I want to do. So really very hardly any rehearsal. I just go in and play the song, and work out the parts a little bit, but mostly I could just play.
Right, that's what I can see. Well, from what I hear, it's clearly that, of course, you were forced to do this by yourself, but it seems that you really enjoy to work with other musicians at the same time. Of course, now technology allows us to work with people from different parts of the world. In your case, since you have you are very experienced and the technology changed even the way that we make music, are you the person that prefer maybe to work with all musicians in the same room than maybe the studio work? Or what's your opinion about working from home? And now we had the chance to do everything at home.
Oh. Well, there is a thing where if you have a click track, you can send the files around and get people from anywhere. Um, I guess to me, again, because I know the song, I if I feel like I've got my hands on it a little more if I play it myself. And if I couldn't do it, like if I played drums and I went like, oh, it's not very good, then I'd get somebody else to do it. But in in a way, like if I'm in the same room with them, if I don't like something or I want to change something, I can say it. I can say, oh, play that part a little differently. But if you do it with by sending the files around with Pro Tools, then that conversation is too slow. If you don't like something, by the time you get it, then it's too late, or you have to tell them they have to replay the whole thing. So it's sort of like it makes the communication too slow. So that's why, and it's hard. Like I've done that before as a session player. People have hired me like, oh, do a solo on my album, and I would say about a third of the time they don't like what I played. and and I'm sure if I had been in the studio and they said like, oh, I don't like that, try something else, then you can solve it in like 2 seconds. But that it's because the communication is so slow. You don't know they don't like it until you send it, and you've already spent the whole day working on it. So that's the hard thing and unfortunately, like you can't really play live with other people on the internet yet. There's a little bit of delay, and it's just enough to mess up the music. You can't like there's always a little delay, and with music, that's it. You can't do it live.
I see. And well, you are releasing this new album on June the 4th, as I can see. And of course, after that, releasing the new album, do you have any plans to promote the album? I'm not sure how is the situation in your country, considering the vaccination. I don't know if, for
Yeah.
example, live shows are going to be available, or are you planning to do maybe something like a streaming show or something online?
Well, the first thing I'm making some videos for the songs. I made a video for the song "Argument About Pie," where I drew the whole thing, and also it's a lyric video because that's kind of interesting having a lyric video for an instrumental song. But since I wrote it around a lyric, I wanted people to know what the lyric was, and that turned out great. That's already on YouTube, and you can watch it now. I have another one coming out for the song "Werewolves of Portland," and that one will be out in a couple weeks. And I did that one with my son. We both dressed up in wolf costumes and we're playing around, and that one turned out really good. So at least I have those two videos. I also have a guitar camp coming up, and that's not really related to the album. That's just something I was supposed to do it last year, but it got canceled. So we're going to try to do it this year, and so far it's looking good. That's in July, and I always have my online school at Artist Works, and so sometimes I talk about the album there. And I suppose like last year I did some concerts on Stage It, which is like a streaming live thing. And those are pretty cool. So maybe I'll do some Stage It shows where I play some of the songs. So yeah, that's my idea so far.
All right, awesome. And well, just another question. Considering this topic, I like to ask to different musicians because of the situation of the pandemic, especially musical groups were forced to do like streaming shows or things like that. And of course, we got different opinions about these options that the technology is giving us, since we don't have concerts by now. So what's your opinion about these streaming shows that some bands are doing? Have you ever had the chance to watch some of them maybe?
Well, I've done some. I did some of my own on Stage It, and it was. I mean, performing is always great, but it was a little odd because the audience can only text to you, so you don't get to see people's faces, and that was a little hard. But the shows themselves, I was happy with what I could play. I did them with my wife. My wife Emmy was playing keyboards, and we did some pretty amazing melodies. I mean, I'm sorry, medleys of songs. And besides that, the thing with technology is I'm so grateful that I have my online school, which is not live. It's actually it's the student makes a video and loads it on, and I watch the video, anytime I've got a chance, and then I make my video and send it back. And so both those videos are get put on the school together as like a question and answer, and it's actually better that it's not live because the quality is better. Um, if your Wi-Fi connection isn't great, you can still wait for it to download. So, and also since I'm teaching, I get to a little more time to think about my answer, which is great, because that makes my answers better. If it's live, then I just have to think of something right then. But when I watch a student play, I think, okay, give me a minute, and then I always have a better answer. So that's turned out really good. If you want to check it out, the company's called Artist Works, and it's my rock online guitar school.
Oh, that sounds cool, and yeah, it's great that during the pandemic you could continue actually with the schools. I think music is very important, and especially these days that we don't have many chances to go outside, for example, in order to prevent the disease. So music somehow is giving us actually an escape, from all these situations. So that's really
It
great.
is for me. I love. I mean, most of my time I spend, watching my students at the school and thinking of how to help them, and it really, has kept me going during this year.
All right. Um, and well, probably this is another question that most fans are asking now, since you have more time to work on your music and your school, but also are we gonna hear new music from your other projects or other bands in this case that are involved with your career, like, I don't know, Mr. Big or something with Razor X, for example?
I haven't really done those. If anything, I've been trying to become better as a singer on the guitar. That's kind of what I did on the record. And so my project is I just think of melodies that I like that are in my head already, and then I challenge myself to see if I can play them. So like, uh, it could be metal. It could be like, what was a good metal song? I'm just trying to think of one I've never done before. Um, Let's see. What's the Judas Priest? So you don't have to be old to be wise. And what's the? It's kind of a one-note melody. Maybe the Scorpions. I could do. Oh, that was the one I figured out the other day. Was Arizona. You know, that's I love that because I can be the singer. You know, that's an awesome tune. So you can see that when I do that, I get a big smile on my face because I'm connecting to the music in my head. Right? When I grew up, I listened to so many albums and so much music, and you know, I would learn the guitar parts. But really, my soul as a musician is not just guitar. I love the melody, I love the drums, and to be able to get that melody on my guitar, it's a new thing for me, you know, because before I just play the chord, and that's cool. But you know, I think especially since I haven't been able to play with a band the last year, to be able to, you know, because the melody is always, you know, that's usually the most important part. So it's nice to spend some time with that.
Hey, well, from what I hear from you, it seems that you are always taking new challenges. You know, always learning not only with the guitar, with vocals and other musical instruments. So, are you the kind of musician that is always challenging yourself, push yourself to do something new? As I can see, is that correct?
Well, when you use like the word challenge or push yourself, it almost sounds like it's hard. Like, oh, I got to do this hard, difficult thing that, you know, I can't wait till it's over. But to me, it's more like eating delicious food. You know, it's like, oh, I love this. You know, give me more. Um, so it's, you know, it takes effort, and I have to focus and concentrate. And sometimes, you know, I don't get it right. You know, I might make a lot of mistakes or get it wrong at first. So those, I guess, are the hard parts. But the you know, I love the results, you know, and I love tinkering around with it. I think that's the difference. Like with I think that's why I'm a musician, because I love the work. And for example, I did a drawing for my video, the argument about pie, and that was, you know, that's an artistic thing to do too. And with that, I like the result, but I don't enjoy the work so much. It's
Okay,
like,
I understand.
yeah,
Oh well, of
and
course, when you love something, it's not exactly
yeah. So
yeah.
and cooking is like I like cooking because I like to eat. Like I like the end result. Cutting up's okay, but with music, like I almost don't care if I ever finish. You know, I just want to keep working at it. That's the fun part.
All right. Well, that sounds actually really, really cool. And of course, when I see, for example, your career, of course, you have a very big career, of course, in your solo project with bands like Mr. Big, Razor X, and of course, a lot of guest appearances. But is there like any dream that you have now, for example, or any musician that you would like to play with or work with, but you haven't had the chance until now to do that?
Oh, let's see. Well, I think in the last 5 or 10 years, I've been getting much more into blues, and but one of the nice things about blues is it's a really conversational and improvisational style of music. With metal or pop, you know, heavy metal and pop tend to be much more structured,
Mhm.
and you just play the song and you play it good, and that's what you do. But with blues, it's much more open and welcoming for improvisation and to be able to have a conversation inside the music. So to me, like anybody who's a good blues musician, I would love to play with. Because not, I mean, not only for them, but also because that style of music allows that. You know, you don't have to rehearse. You just sit down and, you know, play over a blues, and you try to connect with what you hear in your head, and so this, and of course, blues is kind of like the first doorway into jazz. And I'm not, jazz has some other chords I don't really have a language for yet, but that would be the kind of the next step too, is jazz. Blues and jazz is kind of the same thing. It's just, blues is just, it tends to be a little simpler chords.
All right. So yeah, it seems that you like more, and well, that's what I hear when I listen to your guitar. I mean, probably a lot of people like, for example, your work as a virtuoso guitar player. But what I always like is that there's always soul in your music. You know, there is a very great melody, and that's something that I really like. Do you think that maybe, especially probably in modern rock or metal bands, is there is something missing about that? Because I can see more skillful guitar players, but some of them probably make lack of this melody or so. How do you see this scene nowadays, for example?
I don't really know the new bands.
Okay, so you're
I'm
more
sorry.
into.
um, I think when I listen to music that's new for me, I tend to go back in time. So I started to research the horn players from the 50s. Uh, I love Johnny Hodges, who's a sax player, and he's really simple, like really simple melodies, but played amazing. Like he plays those melodies better than anybody. And it's not only playing; it's like the choices. Just being able to play something, to compose something very simple as well. And that's like on my new album, one of the things I'm proudest of, there's a song called Meaningful, is what gives life meaning, what makes me want to get up in the morning, what makes me want to tell my friends that they gotta see this, like an upside down guitar from the guy in Kid Soul. And when my love comes home, it's so meaningful. It goes on and on. And then it was it. It is not me. I should remember the melody for the. It's at the end. Oh, that's it. And that note, that note is 7 beats long. I was like, and then it changes. And I've never done a 7-beat note in my life. That's like the longest note I've ever played. And it's not just a technical thing. It's like also the longest note I've ever written, because that's part of the melody. It's part of the structure of the melody. And that to me is a huge accomplishment, because my melodies before was, I like that melody, but the notes are going by much quicker. And to have that long note, it comes from listening like the Beach Boys. They would have these really long notes. And I'm known for playing fast, and fast is very short notes. So to
Yeah.
me, like to get a long one like that is like, man, I've never done that in my life. That's 7 beats. That's amazing.
All right.
And
And well,
I've got about 2 minutes, and I got to go.
yeah, of course. That's what I was gonna say. Anything? We really appreciate again your time for this interview. And of course, is there anything that you would like to say to your fans in Latin America and South America?
Oh well, thanks for listening to me, and I hope that a lot of people that listen to me are musicians as well. So, we understand each other. We know what it's like to love music and to play music, and whether you're stuck at home or whether you can travel, just keep listening to music you love and playing the music that you love. And if you want to learn more about guitar, come to my guitar school.
All right. And of course, don't miss Werewolf of Portland on User 4.
Check it out.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Again, Mr. Paul, thank you very much for your time in this interview. We really appreciate that. And of course, we wish you all the best with your music school. And of course, all the best with this new release. It sounds really cool. Werewolves of
Thank you
Portland.
so much. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. It's a pleasure.